Will, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Will, you're just waiting to start the meeting, is that correct?
Yeah, we're still a little early.
I've got 6:30, let me see. Oh, 6:29, okay. I think David Halpern's here.
He is. I also unmuted him.
Okay.
Or I did earlier. Yeah, he's
Okay.
there.
David,
Hello.
hi. If you take, I'll take 1 and 3 if you want to take 2. And
Hello.
can you hear me, David?
I can hear both of you.
Okay, can David, is he unmuted?
He is. I could hear him too.
Okay, David, if I take item 1 and item 3, could you take number 2 and the window master plans?
I hit.
Can we be heard?
I can hear you now, David. Can you hear me?
Can we be heard?
You can. Give me
Will.
1 second. I'm going to chat him.
This is David. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello? Will?
Yeah. I was
What's
chatting David. Hopefully he.
I can't hear anybody.
He can't hear
What should I
anyone.
do?
He has to be unmuted.
He is unmuted. You can hear him, right, Jane?
I can hear him, yes.
Yeah. I think his speakers may be turned off, but I'm not sure.
Oh, the speaker's on his computer.
Yeah.
We should get started. I don't know.
I'm going to shoot him an email and just ask him to check the speakers on.
I'm sorry, everybody, if we could be patient for a second. What happened to the right catalog of mine?
David, can you hear us?
I don't know what's wrong. It's 6:33. We'll wait another 2 minutes and then I think we just have to start, Will.
That sounds fine. I just sent him an email. Hopefully he sees that. Do you have his cell phone or his phone number? Maybe.
No, I don't. Sorry. David, I can hear him though. David? Oh dear. Sorry.
If anybody has David's phone number handy, chat it to me.
I don't have it in front of me. I'd have to look for it. You know, we communicate through email.
Okay, I got it.
You got it?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm gonna try to get
Okay.
Well, I can't find where to increase the sound.
It should be on this. Are you on an iPad or a computer? You can't hear me. Will, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, and I can still hear David perfectly.
Well, we've got to get started. I don't know what to do. You try to.
Hi, this is Will.
6:35.
Are you having problems?
Yes,
I was on the phone. What happened?
I can't get the sound.
That's the same thing as the other night.
Will?
Yes.
Will, while they're trying to figure it out, why don't we just get started? Will? Will?
To get started, Jane, the first is Arthur Charbon. I'm gonna unmute
Well, I
him so
first
he
have
can
to,
Oh.
1 second, Will,
Go.
I have to
Yes.
announce that it's the
Oh.
June meeting of the Landmarks Committee of Community Board 8. We have 3 applications before us, plus an item of new business. We are here to vote on the context and appropriateness of the applications before us. We will hear from the applicant, then the public, then we will go into executive session and formulate a resolution for each application. That resolution will be voted on by the full board at its meeting this coming Wednesday. So with that, let's get started. The first application is 57 East 62nd Street, Arthur Chabon, architect. Application is to extend an elevator bulkhead. Is Mr. Chabon here?
I am here.
Great. You can start presenting. I think that Will, our district manager, will put you on screen share so that we can see the presentation.
Okay.
Will, can you do that? Will?
Sorry, I'm trying to help David. He should be able to share his screen right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. I need to hide all these little faces that are blocking me. Here we go.
Okay.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm Arthur Chabon. I'm the principal of Arthur Chabon Architects, and I'll be presenting this proposal on behalf of the Fifth Avenue Synagogue. With me is Kristen Ziegler, who's the project architect. And should you have any specific questions for the synagogue, William Friedland is here as chair of the building committee. So as you know, our building is located on the south side of East 62nd, 2 buildings east of, let me get my little laser thing. You can see this little laser now?
Yep, thank you.
All right, so we're 2 buildings east of Fifth Avenue, between 1 East 62nd to the west and 9 East 62nd to the east. Our building was designed in around 1956 by Percival Goodman, who was one of the premier mid-century synagogue architects in America. And this building is a unique building in our historical district, and it's a unique building in Manhattan. And the congregation is thoroughly dedicated to preserving this important historical landmark by sensitive changes, by significant infrastructure upgrades, and thereby ensuring its usefulness and its relevance, its viability long into the future. So as you know from our submission, the synagogue is planning an extension of its elevator, which currently terminates on the 5th floor. This is to provide access to an original 6th floor roof level Sabbath apartment, a mechanical area, and some storage areas. And creating this access requires that we enlarge and increase the height of the existing elevator bulkhead and the elevator machine room. The specific work we're proposing is required by the New York City Building Code, where it's mandated that any space being altered be made accessible. The synagogue is planning a substantial alteration of the Sabbath apartment at the 6th floor roof level in conjunction with other mechanical upgrades and the provision of badly needed storage spaces. The extension of the shaft to this level will accomplish this compliance. The roof level is also the outdoor play yard for the preschool, and elevator access to this level is extremely important for the proper functioning of the preschool. And this summer is our opportunity to do this extension, or we lose the fall season, jeopardizing the preschool for 2020 and 2021. And I have to say, we're very grateful to Landmarks, who's been so accommodating in ensuring that we make this precious summer construction schedule. I want to also note that when we first submitted this to Landmarks, it was initially considered to be approvable on the staff level, as elevator bulkhead extensions that are done to meet building code requirements, even if they're more visible, can be approved at the staff level with a certificate of no effect. Given though that the LPC felt that the addition was more than what they described as minimally visible, senior staff thought it would be prudent to take this to the community board and then issue a certificate of appropriateness. The components of this project that are illustrated in these documents, other than the bulkhead, are in fact being approved by LPC at the staff level. They are not visible at all. And they will be issuing, Landmarks will be issuing a certificate of no effect for that work. And this fact is noted on our drawings. So tonight we're focusing specifically on this bulkhead. These axonometric drawings, which are actually on page 4 of the packet that we submitted to you, they clearly show what we have in mind. The dark shaded portion is our proposed bulkhead, and it's this specifically, again, that we're asking you to approve. The first set of diagrams on the left are the existing conditions. The diagrams on the right are the proposed. Looking at the proposed diagrams, the first is viewed from the southeast looking toward the west. You can see on the left where we note 62nd Street. And the second on the right is viewed from the northwest looking eastward. This is the view from the rear of the building. You can see from the southeast that we're set back 10 feet from the building plane as required by code, and we are ascending 9 feet, 2 inches above the roof of the Sabbath apartment. Directly to the north of our proposed bulkhead in this area here is a light well and an air shaft that provides northeastern exposure and ventilation to the numerous apartments for our neighbor at 1 East 62nd. So the exact placement of the bulkhead was based really on 3 factors. Number 1, obviously the location of the existing shaft. The second is compliance with the zoning setbacks. And the third is that delicate balance between the relative impact of the bulkhead on the historical district, the neighboring buildings, and on the integrity of the historical resource. Here are the East 62nd Street elevations. On the left, the existing, on the right, the proposed. The red arrow points to the bulkhead addition we're asking you to approve. Anything else that you see that is not going to be visible from the street, and that is what will be approved by LPC at staff level. These are the rear elevations, again, the existing on the left, proposed on the right, and you can see in the image on the right, our bulkhead addition, which is substantially, almost entirely screened by an existing chiller. You can also see in these elevations the preschool play yard, which is inscribed by this fence, you can see in that black outline. I want to point out in the photo.
Before you continue, could you just give us the dimensions? You said it was going to be 9 feet, 2 inches above the roof of the Sabbath apartment?
Yeah,
How many square feet? We're just curious. What is the footprint? What are the dimensions?
It ascends, as I said, 19 feet 2 above the ceiling. The overall width is on facing the street is 12 feet 10 3/4, and then it goes north 19 feet 1 1/4 inches.
So the width is 12 feet 3/4 inches?
Yeah, I have upcoming in the presentation, I have plans that I can show you in detail.
Okay, we just always like specific dimensions.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Sure. So what I want to point out here in the photo on the left is the 1938 addition to the Horace Trumbauer townhouse that was built, I think, in around 1905. The addition was done in the late 30s, and you can see the addition sitting above that strong cornice line. Our elevator bulkhead will similarly, it'll be set both above and back from that strong Percival Goodman version of a cornice line, and it will blend in with that townhouse, along with the many other, what you could call those sort of above the cornice additions that characterize this street, characterize the whole district. We show you also in the slide 2 concepts we're exploring for the colors of the bulkhead. The top one, where we match the addition to the Trumbauer building, the bottom, or the addition, the bottom where we match the Goodman's precast concrete facade. In our latest discussions with Landmarks, they were leaning toward matching the Goodman facade, and I think we would defer to Landmarks in this decision. The bottom 2 photos show you in the sort of blue tint outline the location of the bulkhead. The photos on the right are basically contextual photos just to give you a sense of the rear of the building. These are photographs of our roof. On the left, you have the preschool play yard as it exists. On the right, you can see into that light well for 1 East 62nd. This is taken from the level of, on this side, the mechanical room, and then over here, which I'm flagging in that red, the Sabbath apartment. In the photo again on the left, you can see the light well for 1 East 62nd. These are views of our building looking northwest. On the left, you have the existing, on the right, our proposed. And you can see here pretty clearly that our bulkhead up there is quite innocuous, blending in well with the addition to 1 East 62nd, as well as with the overall texture of other rooftop features that are typical in this district. Going to the next image, here you're getting a bit closer, but you're still looking basically northwest, and you can see our bulkhead disappearing into that kind of rooftop world of bulkheads and additions that so characterize this district, be they water towers, penthouses, greenhouses, and more. You can see the addition here to number 9, which is that sort of greenhouse. And then continuing, here we're looking directly frontally to the building, directly north. Again, existing on the left, proposed on the right. And then here, this is the last view you get before the bulkhead disappears behind the addition to the Trumbauer building. And you can see here also very clearly the addition to number 9 also set back approximately 10 feet from their cornice. These next images, I think this speaks more to dimensional questions. This shows you in plan the location of our elevator. The image on the left, again, it's always existing on the left, proposed on the right. This is the footprint of our elevator, and you can see how bringing it up to the roof provides the access to the renovated apartment. and provides access for the kids in using the preschool play yard. More important to you, I believe, would be this slide, which on the left existing, right proposed, shows you the footprint of the actual bulkhead. And you can see it's 12 feet 10 across, and then going northward, the 19 feet 1¼ inches. And then more importantly, you see how we are squeezed between the 10-foot setback at the front and the air shaft, the light well, that provides light and air for numerous apartments at this neighboring building. Here is our sight line shown of the existing building without the addition, and here with the addition. And I want to point out again that strong cornice line that we're setting the bulkhead back from, and then you can see it, the 19-foot height and the 10-foot setback. These are detailed elevations at the roof level, none of which would be visible, but I think they're important for you to understand the placement of the bulkhead. And I think it's best to focus on the bottom image, which clearly shows the relationship of the bulkhead to the air shaft and to the setback from the street. And then this is a drawing that was not part of your original package, but it's a computer rendering we did to show the geometry of what's going on. You can see very, very clearly the bulkhead set clear of the light well and the air shaft, and then set back from the street wall. This is a detail of the construction of the bulkhead, which was provided basically for LPC. At their request, we agreed that the stucco finish would be a cementitious stucco, and that's the main thing that I think would be pertinent for you to understand, that change from what we had previously proposed to a cementitious stucco. The next drawings, I don't think we need to dwell on too much. They're more if you have questions specifically about the elevator construction, but you have here the clearances, sizes required for the machine room and for the control and the electrical, the shut off here in section. And then finally, I'll end with these two images looking to the east and to the west, which you've already seen, but to reiterate how the bulkhead blends into the background. And I think with this, we can conclude our presentation.
Thank you very much. It was really quite a detailed presentation, which we always appreciate. Is there anyone from the public who wants to address the application?
I forgot to explain to everyone earlier that we take questions. Everyone is muted, and they're going to stay muted. The only way you'll be unmuted is if you raise your hand through using the participants menu. You'll find that participants menu at the bottom of your screen. It looks like two little people standing next to each other. And right now it has the number 28 next to it. Once you click that, you can find the raise hand button at the bottom of the participants menu. And we will see you on our participants list. And if you're on the phone, it's *9 to raise your hand from the phone.
So, Will, do you see any raised hands?
I do not.
Okay. Then we're going to go to the committee. So, Will, why don't you read off the names of who's here? Or read them alphabetically, I guess. I think that's what we did last month, is just start alphabetically.
So last month we did alphabetical by the committee, and then anyone else who wasn't on the committee, and then you and David.
Perfect. That's perfect. Is David all set, or is he still having issues?
Thanks to Will, I am set.
Great. Thank you. That's wonderful news.
Made
Okay.
me feel great.
Okay. So you start, Will.
All right. So the first board member I have on my list is Elizabeth Ashby. So I'm going to call on her. Elizabeth, you're unmuted. Elizabeth? Elizabeth, you may need to push a button at the bottom of your screen to confirm. There you go. No, actually, try now.
Am I here?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I don't particularly like this or its neighbors, which I think its neighbor to the west, which we are not considering is even worse. But I think this is probably an acceptable solution that we're going to have to support. It's too bad I don't like these bulkheads, but we have to have them, so I'll accept it.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Next is Gail Barron.
I had a question. You said that there was a particular stucco that was recommended by the LPC. Could you tell me what that kind of stucco is? I'm unfamiliar with it.
Yeah, it would be a cement-based stucco rather than a latex-based stucco. So it's a more traditional stucco that has, I guess you could describe as a little bit more depth to it.
Okay, thank you. Well, I agree with Elizabeth. I don't particularly like the bulkheads, but under the circumstances of what your challenges are, I can support it as well.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So next would be Michelle. I'm gonna unmute you, Michelle. You may need to.
Yes, thank you. Did you say that the height of it above the apartment was 9 or 19 feet? Because I got a measurement of the depth being 19. What is the height?
It's 19. It's actually they're basically the same. It's 19.
Oh, so okay. So the height is 19 feet, and then the width is 12, and the depth is 19.
Yeah, 19 feet 1 for the depth.
Now, is that including the machine room?
Yep, that's the whole thing.
So the machine room is in that.
Yes, it is.
And have you determined that that's the smallest it could possibly be?
Well, it's what was recommended to us by the elevator consultant, and to get proper clearances for maintenance. So we've given them what they recommend.
So in other words, clearance is meaning for their
For maintenance.
people to have access to each of the parts that are in both the machine room and
The control room, exactly.
the control. And
Yes.
are we really sure that theirs is the minimum? I mean, within a workable situation.
Yeah, I think we can say credibly, we went to one of the foremost elevator consultants in New York, and yes, I think we could conclude that those are the minimums.
And did the color you decide on, is it the color of your building or the adjacent?
The Landmarks was leaning originally at staff level. They said to match the Trumbauer building, and then they said to match our building.
Yeah,
So
I think that's a better idea, to match your building. Okay, no other questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
After Michelle, we have Alita. 1 second, Alita, and I saw Alita. There she is.
Here I am. Thank you. I'm just looking at it in the submission with the agenda. So I'm looking at what it looks like. And you have a building that is, I would guess, unique and special and evocative of the period. And yet it has this really uninteresting bulkhead on the top. So while I understand the necessity and I appreciate the desire to match the color, I'd have to say it would be better for me if it had some kind of interesting design element, even if it didn't match, just something that didn't make it look like a too small hat on top. So again, I understand the need. I just would like to see it look better, and thank goodness there's a cornice. Thank you.
Thank you, Alita.
After that, we have Sarah Chu. Sarah.
Hi, I don't have any questions. Alita and Michelle have covered my questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Up next is Anthony.
Okay. I've actually known Arthur for many years. We worked at Bob Stern's office together. I think it's a difficult problem. I think that I think basically it's fine. You wish it weren't visible at all from anywhere on Earth, but I think it's more important that the statutory and functional requirements of actually getting up there really outweigh the more or less minimal views that we'll have of it. So that's it.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
After Anthony is Marco. Marco, you're gonna have to push a button at the bottom of your screen to confirm unmuting.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, a lot of efforts to hide the bulkhead. And also, I think it's very sensitive with the neighborhood. And he protect the air shaft, which is, I think, is a very good, nice from your part. And I agree with that part. And being of the layout of the roof, you don't have much choice to select and to hide the bulkhead. And in addition, I had to mention the geometry. Geometry is true, the adjacent building is much better than yours. However, the geometry that you propose is more consistent with the style that you have. And I think I will support this application. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco.
Thank you, Marco. After Marco would be our two public members or any other board members who I don't see. If there are any board members that I have not called on, would you please raise your hand through the participants menu or hit *9? Because I do not see either of our public members. I'm going to give you guys 5 seconds before I'll hand it over to Jane and David. Looks like they're absent. Oh, wait. Oh, sorry. I think this may be phone number ending with 771.
That's Christina.
Okay, Christina. Sorry, I'll rename you.
You usually call on me, Will.
I do. I hadn't renamed you in the system. I'd actually sent you an email. I'm sorry about that.
Thank you. No, I thought it was a very good presentation, and I certainly can support the application. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Christina. Jane and David?
I'm going to support the application. David, did you want to comment on it?
No, I will support it. I think a good job within the constraints.
Thank you. Does anybody want to formulate a resolution?
Gil Barron has her hand raised.
Okay, do you want me to?
Yeah, if you could formulate a resolution, it sounds like it's an approval.
I move.
Oh, you muted yourself.
Unmute.
There
I
you go.
move that we support the application as presented.
I'm assuming all in favor. I think we can take the vote, Will.
Okay. Do you want to just call on each person?
Yes, I think we have done that for the last couple of months.
Okay, I'm gonna do that. So give me 1 second. Gonna put up the vote sheet. Can everybody see it now? Great. So I'm just gonna go down the list and mark everybody. But first I'm gonna unmute each of you. So give me 1 second. You may have to confirm your unmuting on your own screen right now. So, Elizabeth Ashby.
Didn't we say that everybody would vote yes unless they raise their paw? Wasn't
Normally-
it?
That's for the full
Save
board.
time.
That's for the full board.
I
Landmark,
think for
Jane
this,
and
we're taking
David.
individual votes.
Right.
Okay, yes.
Gail Barron.
Yes.
Thank you. Michelle Birnbaum.
Yes.
Alita.
Yes.
Sarah Chu.
Yes.
Anthony. Oh, you're muted. Try again. Push the button. Yes. Sorry, thank you. David.
Yes.
Albert. Pass?
Yes.
Oh, yes, sorry. Okay. Jane.
Yes.
Marco.
Yes.
Christina.
Yes.
All right. Unanimous.
Okay, the next application, 793 Madison Avenue, Upper East Side Historic District. Joseph Corella, architect. The brick building designed by Tom and Wilson, originally constructed in 1881. Application is for elevator and lobby additions, facades and replacement of HVAC equipment, internal stairs and upper story windows. So is the applicant here?
If they will raise their hand, but I'm also going to look and see.
I see him. He just needs to be unmuted.
Oh. There we go. Joseph, you may have to confirm unmuting. There you go.
Okay. Hello, everyone.
Yes.
Okay. So I also tried to share screen.
Yes, we can see it.
You can.
Yeah. So you'll just need to go over to your.
Okay.
There you go.
Now we're there. Okay. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Joseph Torella from Sawicki Torella Architects, and I'm presenting 793 Madison, which is the northeast corner of Madison and East 67th Street. And I just need to get rid of this. Hang on. Oh, very good. So we're all a little challenged here. Okay, so this is a 5-story townhouse that was built in the 1880s on the northeast corner. And in the 20s, the bottom part was taken away and made into storefronts. And if any of you are at all familiar, you know this building quite well because it has this kind of unusual side entry, 2-story, 2.5-story side entry on 67th Street, which is pretty unique for the upper, even for the Upper East Side at this point. And what we're here to present is that the ownership of this building, who has owned it for quite some time, would like to restore it. It's in pretty good condition now, but there are a number of things that it needs to kind of bring it into the 21st century. One of those things is access. And that's really the biggest thing we're proposing. What we would like to do, and I will get there, but we're proposing exactly what you approved for us about 15 years ago on the next block on the northeast corner of 68th and Madison, where Max Mara is. At that time, and that's what this upper plan is, you approved an elevator in the backyard that went up the back of the building, and a small 1-story lobby that came out to the street. And that's worked out really quite well for that building. And it allowed us to address a lot of the accessibility issues for the building and modernize it with minimal impact to the district. And that is what we're proposing for this building as well. The lower plan is the plan of 67th Street, and the upper plan is the plan of 68th Street. The other thing, so this view from the back shows the one on the left is an existing view of the building, and the one on the right is the proposed view with the elevator shaft shown in this rear corner. The other major item that we're suggesting is we would like to redo the storefront in the front of the building and the one in the back. The one in the back first, because we're here, has a series of kind of leftovers from the building. There's 3 or 4 different size door openings that lead to cellars and other things. And then there's a piece of storefront that sticks out, a window. It sticks out a couple of feet. I'm not sure when that was approved. And then there's a very strange rear yard that steps down and goes to the back, which I can show you more pictures of. We would like to just run a bronze, very clean bronze storefront from where we're proposing to put the lobby doors and right across up to where the 2-story stairway juts out. Very kind of low key. And in the front, this is what the building looks like now. This 2-story facade is, we're essentially asking for more or less the same thing, except the current facade is made up of a real mishmash of materials. Some of it is plastic, some of which the 2 corner columns in the back on the corners are plastic. And the second floor windows only are designated red by landmarks, as they are left over from some period, and they are made of wood and very thin wood strips, and which are not in very good condition. And we would propose to replace those wood strips with bronze to go with the rest of the facade in exactly the same proportion and scale that it is now. So this 2-story facade is the same proportions, except it's detailed more nicely with columns and a little cornice piece. And those are the 2 main design elements that we're proposing. We'd also like to replace the windows with similar double hung wood windows, but using insulated glass and more, higher level of green quality. We'd also like to replace the air conditioning units on the roof. None of that is visible from anywhere. Here are the sight lines. It has quite a high cornice, so you can't really see much of anything on the roof from anywhere. This is across Madison, and this one is across 67th Street. The units would go all the way in the back, alongside where the elevator is. And this is showing we want to redo the internal stair. You could see this is the old stair bulkhead that's there, and the blue lines represent the new stair bulkhead. So we'd actually have a lower profile than what is there now. And then this is a view of the rear yard currently. The building to our east has a column and fencing that's actually proud of the property line by several feet. We would be back of that. And the current rear yard is down 2 or 3 steps and kind of belongs to this little store that's back here, but it doesn't really provide much of anything. You can see here there's a gate, and you go down several steps to get there. So those are the main things we're proposing. Basically the elevator and lobby for the rear, and redoing the 2 storefronts in order to help bring this building into the 21st century and have it be there for a good another 100 years.
Is that the presentation?
Yes, I mean, I could provide a lot more. There's a lot more details of drawings and other things, but I think these are pretty adequate for showing the main issues.
Well, you told us the main issues and you told us the materials. Is there anyone on the committee who feels the need to see some of the details? Apparently not. So first, let's find out if there is anybody in the public who would like to comment. Will, anybody on your?
I don't see anybody in the public. I saw 2 board members raise their hands. but we'll call on them in a second. If there's anybody in the public, you'll just need to raise your hand through the participants menu. In the public, through the participants menu. It doesn't look like there are any.
Okay, so we have 2 board members who are not part of the committee.
No, they're both committee members. Alita is the only one that still has her hand up.
Well, we're going to go through the committee, so.
Yes. Okay, well then I'll go through the committee.
Maybe you want to take it in reverse order, so.
Okay. So I'll start with Christina Davis. Christina?
I think you should start with the.
We'll start with the main committee and then we'll go to Christina. Start with Marco.
Okay, sorry about that. So Marco, give me 1 second. Marco, you'll have to push a button on your screen.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to make 3 comments. First of all, the existing facade at the front on Madison Avenue, respectfully, but I think the existing is much better what you are proposing. However, I had to mention the materials are not traditional, and you propose more better materials, more traditional materials for the area. The rear portion, I think definitely is an improvement. However, I had to mention, we always prefer the more that go inside of the mid block, which is residential, is try to maintain the same characteristic of that area. So that's one comment in that part. And finally, my point is, and I think this is going to be very strong, is about the elevator. It's true that you're in compliance. However, you have a 5-story building, basically. You have a basement and 4 stories, 5 stories. And I checked your CO, and your CO say clearly that you have the first to the 4th, you have commercial and office, and you want to convert in commercial. I think it's fine. But UCO said in the last story, it said residential. So that means, yes, you can convert the whole building in a commercial space. However, at the time when you do that, you start losing floor area available. And the floor area available, it doesn't match what you need because you has this unique, beautiful extension or encroachment on the 67th Street sidewalk. It's beautiful, but there's an encroachment, but it still is a floor area. It has to be countable. And if I added all of this, you don't have no more floor area for your elevator. And in addition to that, yes, it's true that you can cover 100% of the lot, but the problem is you have 5 stories and you have just only the floor area 4. So the rear elevator, I think I consider that I think it's too much. 1 and 2. If that is the case that you are planning to change the use on the 5th floor from residential to commercial, you should file an application in DOB and Alteration 1 saying that's what you're doing. And all this zoning issue, the plan examiner will rise to you. And then you calculate properly. Probably you're not ready for that part, but I did the calculations. That's my comments. Thank you.
Mr. Torella, have you been through a zoning review at the Department of Buildings?
Yes, we've had a preliminary review. That issue didn't actually come up, but we take it seriously and we'll certainly look into it to make it work out. But I do think that I don't think elevators are necessarily counted as footprint, FAR footprint in general.
They are counted as zoning area.
Yeah, okay.
Marco is correct on that. However, as a committee concerned with appropriateness, we're not going to rule on the zoning. That's your problem. We're
You're
only
absolutely right.
Appropriateness, which
right.
has to do with the character of the building and what you're proposing in relation to the character of the building. So zoning
Okay.
is not our purview. So let's go to the next person.
The next person would be Anthony.
Let's see. I actually think the storefront interventions are fine, and I think sort of clean up what feels a little bit messy right now. I have a little bit of a problem with the elevator, not because of where it is, but there is currently the ability to look through the space between this building and its neighbor to the east. And I think that photo you had really showed that. And I'm a little concerned that that is now blocked off. Where was it? There, that one. That it will now be blocked off completely or virtually completely. And then I guess I have a question relative to that, which is how much space will there be between your elevator, your elevator, not the bulkhead, but the shaft, the outside of the shaft, and then the neighboring building itself, not so much even the property line, but the building itself.
I think they have a 5-foot walkway.
Okay. And you wouldn't happen to know what's going on in that building there that will now be staring at the blank wall of your elevator?
The building to the east?
Yeah. Yes.
I think it's, I'm not mistaken, I think it's some kind of embassy. But I'm not 100% sure of that.
Okay. All right. That was my question.
Okay. So, Sarah Chu.
Yes, Sarah, I'm going to unmute you.
Hi. I don't have, well, I guess in looking at the front facade, I do like how the themes of the facade is carried throughout. What I am always, I always have a hard time with whether or not the modernizing or the changing of these facades from what they were originally is something that would how you balance the benefit to the small business that is there to the aesthetic that the building originally had. And so I would be interested in what my colleagues on the committee think about that. So that's it. Thanks.
Okay, after Sarah is Alida.
Thank you. I have a few questions. I can't tell, does the new facade for the commercial space stick out any further than the old one did?
No.
Okay, because it looks a little like it does. I don't like the new windows that you have on the side extension, the single pane. I like the original, what looks like the original. I think it has a lot more character. I recognize the front window is the same thing as what you're doing, but still, I guess I'm partial to multi-paned windows. Then I have a question about, I agree with Anthony as to covering up the side and the view. And I can't really tell what, I see some bronze doors, but is there a roof over that goes to the elevator so that the whole thing will be more solid from the sidewalk? We have very little green space and very little air. And one of the nice things is to pass a fence or a gate. So I have to say, I'm not really crazy about that. Otherwise, I'd like to hear what my colleagues have to say. about it. Again, you're modernizing the side with the bronze, and it looks very attractive. But I am concerned about losing that little bit of greenery and that little bit of air right there. Thank you.
After Alita is Michelle. Michelle, you may have a question.
Yeah, so I have to say, I'm a little confused here. I'm not sure what I'm looking at. Do you have a little laser pointer?
Yes.
The picture that's up on the screen now,
Yes.
so with the checkerboard black and white flooring here,
Yes.
is that on the ground floor level? Is that store's sort of back terrace?
Yes.
Okay, so if you look at the picture just immediate to my right, anyway, I guess your left, my right, is that terrace behind this fencing?
Yes. And it's down 2 or 3 steps.
Okay, so, and the picture that's further to the right now is the front view of this, that when you walk through this gate, you go down a couple of steps and you're into that little black and white terrace area.
Yes.
Okay, now where is this bulkhead that you're talking about in view from this point? Where is it?
Where is the bulkhead?
Yeah, what you're proposing.
Sorry, I'm trying to. Where is it? It is right. It's at this line, and it goes pretty much straight across.
Ah, okay, so it's not on the roof of the building.
No.
That's what I misunderstood, because I was trying to understand why you can see it from this view. So there is a roof that's going over that little garden. It's almost like a fire escape. Is that correct?
It's a one-story. It would be a one-story addition that would go back to where the elevator is.
So
Yes.
you're creating a one-story addition.
Correct.
Does it interfere? It looks like a fireplace. If you go back to the picture on my left, it looks like there's a fire escape platform up there. That's
Yes.
right.
Yes. The fire escape. This fire escape would land onto the roof of that building, of this one-story thing, and then you would get down from there.
That's what I missed. So you're proposing building a structure that goes across that and abuts the building next to it, to the east of it?
No, it doesn't. There's a.
What are the dimensions of it?
This column here belongs to this other building,
Okay,
and everything from here to the east belongs to this other building.
okay,
So they have their own gate and their own walkway that runs along the side of the building.
okay.
We're not touching that.
But you're going up to that column?
Yes. Well, yes. Yes, we are going up to the column.
What's the dimensions of that structure that you're building?
It's 10 feet.
10 feet what? Height, depth,
10
width?
feet. 10 feet wide,
Yeah,
and I think it's about 9 feet tall.
9 tall, height, and what's the depth?
Depth meaning the depth of the lot.
No, the depth of the structure that you're creating. It's 9 feet high, it's 10 feet wide, and going back depth, what's the size of it?
Oh, well, the lot is 40 feet, and the elevator takes up 10 of those feet. So this would be, the other would be about 30 feet.
The depth is going to be 30 feet of the elevator?
No,
Or
the
depth
elevator,
is going to be 10 feet?
the elevator is 10 feet. And what's
Okay,
left,
the depth is good. So the dimension is going to be 9 by 10 by 10. And it's going to leave 30 feet between that point, the end of this structure, to the lot line or the building that is immediately to the east of it. Is that correct?
no, I think I need to go to a plan, but I'm trying to get, sorry, but trying to get the pictures off of my screen so I can actually do something with the screen. Oh, there we go. Thanks.
Plan would help.
Okay. All right. So this here is the entire rear yard space. Here is where we will put the front. This is the 10 feet. This is the elevator that is about 8 by 10. And what is here is more like, excuse me, this is only, it's not a 40-foot wide building, it's 5-foot wide building. So this is 10 foot wide by 16 feet deep. That would be the vestibule.
Why don't I see it?
Is the vestibule is what you mean by, you're referring of an interior? You're talking about that
Yes, it would
black
be
and white
interior.
square?
Well, it would be where those black and white squares are that you see now. Yes, that would be, it would occupy the same space.
So that's going to become the interior.
Correct.
So when you go through that gate, is that the interior of the building? Is that the lobby?
Yes.
And then you're going to create a roof, and this structure that you're creating is on top of that. How far forward towards the front door is it? Or a better way to ask it is how set back is it from, it's over the front door. How far set back is it?
Set back from the face of the building?
Yep.
No, it's at the face of the building.
Excuse me?
It's at the face of the building.
So basically you are looking at a big block sort of. And doesn't that block the windows that I'm looking at? In your illustration number 2 on this page, I see the front door marked 33. And then what you are, well, okay.
So is this, I'm trying to get which one you're looking at that you want to.
The preceding screen that you had up.
Okay.
That's one. Now you see the front door says number 33.
Okay.
I'm looking here at the picture. I'm looking at the
this
actual
is a picture of the buildings on the next block. This was an example of what you guys approved for us 15 years ago,
Okay.
and this was
So
the entry. But it's similar. It's similar to what we're
Well,
proposing.
do you have a picture of your building with that front door?
Yes. That's what we're proposing here.
Okay, so now you've got windows and fire escapes.
Yes.
And you say that the structure you're proposing is immediately over that. And it goes back a depth of 10 feet, but it starts immediately over this front door. So it blocks out the use of that first fire escape?
No, the fire escape will land onto the roof of this thing and you'll get down from there.
The fire escape will land on the roof of the structure you're proposing?
Correct. Correct, right? It'll land right here.
I have to say, I'm looking at it, you're explaining it, but I have to say, I don't get it. I'm assuming behind those 2 doors that there's that lobby that you're enclosing where the checkerboard flooring is.
Correct.
But you tell me that this structure that's 9 feet in height, 10 width, 10 depth is happening, it's going to begin immediately over that lobby. And then it's going to go up 9 feet. So I don't understand where that room is, how you're keeping that fire escape, because I mean, I'm not getting it. I don't know.
I think you got to explain it again, because I think in all deference, Michelle is misstating the dimensions.
Oh, well then I thought I wrote down what you told me.
Well, it's about 16 feet deep, if I heard correctly. It's not 10 by 10 by 9.
Right. Here's a sort of a bigger picture, but the fire is, this is the street line here. This is that big column that belongs to the other building. Right?
Got it. Yeah.
And then this is the lobby that we're going to create, which is 10 feet this way and about 16 feet that way. And then this is the elevator, which is about 8 by 10. Okay, so and it's being brought to the grade level, so you're no longer going down 3 steps to get into it. And this is how you would get into the rest of the building, is through this lobby. You would go here and you would go up the elevator.
Okay, so then when I ask the question, so the elevator bulkhead is not immediately beyond that front door. That was what is confusing me.
No.
It's
Oh,
back 16 feet.
yes.
Okay, okay,
Yes.
all right.
Did
I
you
got
wanna- Did you want to
I got
pursue,
it.
Michelle, did you want to pursue your issue of the fire escape landing on top of the new lobby, and how do you get
Yeah,
down?
I can't picture it, but
How do we get down from the top of the lobby?
Well, we're going to have to get somebody down from that. And honestly, we're working on that detail right now, but I don't have that here at this point.
now you're not showing us what your front doors will look like. The picture that you showed us was from 68th Street. What are your
Yes.
front doors going to look like?
Okay, they're a bronze door, and here we have many other drawings, which we're happy to show you. Oops. So here, this is a good one. This is basically the facade that we're talking about. And one of the things that we were hoping with the sort of the very thin profiles of the bronze with the glass is that you would still see the entire base of the building, which is currently there, which has the sort of more irregular openings and other things. But we would give them a cleaned up version, but you would still be able to see all of those things through the glass. But these two, this is the lobby entry. There's a door with just a base and a top, and one long bar that is a handle, one window that would allow you to see in. And then this would be the store. This is where the door is currently, where there's a canopy and some other things. But basically 2 solid panels that are similar to the front. And then the rest would be glass that would allow you to see in and through into the building in different ways.
Are you maintaining the window from the store into the lobby?
Well, the whole interior of the building is going to be a little bit adjusted according to this section, because right now the interior is at many different levels, and we're going to try and straighten that out a little bit so we get like straight floors and legitimate ceiling heights. So right now the front of the building steps several times on its way to the back inside, and which is why the grade in the back is at different levels from the street. And so yes, you would be able to walk into the store from the lobby, but it would be not at exactly at the same level or through the same window opening as what is there now. We would have to make that opening a little higher to adjust in the back.
And that long hallway in the back that goes all around, that's your second egress from the stores?
The long
Your
hallway.
only egress?
What is the long hallway?
You said behind that door on 67th Street, you go through your entryway, and then it looked like you could make a left turn and get
Yes.
access to the stores. Is that right?
Yes.
So is the access to the stores, is that your only entrance and egress? There are doors on Madison Avenue, correct?
Right. Well, there's a
So
door.
this is your second exit?
No, this is really for the upper floors of the building more, because the store access, I'm just going backwards here now, sorry, it's a little pokey. The stores are accessed here and here right now, and will be. This will take you to a stair, an elevator, and up the stair to be able to get to the other floors. I mean, there'll be a way into this lobby from here as well, but the main access to the stores will be off the street. As they are now.
All right, can I just take a look at the proposed facades with the bronze, please? The actual photographs, not plans.
Sure. That's the back. and that's the front.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So thank you, Michelle. David, Alita has her hand raised. Maybe she had a follow-up to her question.
Sure.
Do you want me to go to her? Or do you want me to?
We will give the chair of our board the courtesy of a follow-up.
Thank you, David. I don't need any favors, but I realized that this is not an adequate presentation for that backyard vestibule to the elevator. It was confusing. There aren't adequate pictures or illustrations to show what it looks like. And I'm just really confused. So thank you for letting me ask this question. There's a lobby entrance somewhere in that new, modern, expansive bronze and glass on 68th Street. Is that right? In addition to the vestibule where the fence is now.
No,
Is that correct?
That's the same.
Well, what the windows, the solid ones a little further down, are those not an entrance to, what are those?
Those
Oh,
go
I'm
into
pointing, but you can't see what I'm pointing to.
They go into the store.
They go into the store, so it's just one and the same. Okay,
Right
and that's
now,
why it's
right
confusing.
now where this canopy is that comes out in the
Yeah.
street, there's a single door. That's in the same location right now.
Okay, so I normally like bronze and glass, but I think this is really modern and it just was confusing. And I think we all would have benefited, especially listening to Michelle. And I'm sorry, David, if it had just been clearer what that new vestibule thing looks like. So I'm done. Thank you so much for the courtesy, David.
You're welcome. Okay.
So next would be Gail Barron.
Actually, all of my questions have been posed by the rest of the committee members. Thank you.
Thank you.
Elizabeth.
And Elizabeth, 1 second. Here you go.
Okay. I like the corner, the change of the storefront there. I think it cleans it up, and I think it looks a lot better. The side street entrance should, I believe, lead into what is a residential street, not Madison Avenue's commercial. The side street is residential, and I don't object at all to the different openings that it has now. I think it is a better lead into the residential street than these big modern storefront windows that stretch all the way to that post as far as I can see. I also think it's unfortunate to block the side, the east side of the building. I think it would be better to leave that open. So although I would support part of this, the corner, the Madison Avenue and stretching around the corner change, but I really can't support this commercial look as it transitions into the side street. Thank you.
Okay. Back to the chairs.
Public member 2 or
no, sorry,
chairs first?
Christina. All right.
Christina.
Thank you. So I certainly commend the owner for their optimism about Madison Avenue, that they want to do this renovation, that you want to stay on Madison. Who are you working with at Landmarks?
Michelle is our staff member, and I think Bernadette Artis is her supervisor.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Jane, did you want to comment?
Well, briefly, I don't, I agree with Alita. I really don't like those modern windows on the side street. It's an unusually whimsical building, and those big bronze windows take away and distract from the whimsy. I also do agree with my fellow board members that it's hard for me to understand that the new lobby and the elevator shaft, I see it in plan, but I don't know whether it's the right solution because it's hard for me to get a grip on it. So thank you very much.
Okay. Are we ready for a resolution? It sounds to me, I'm not sure whether it's one resolution or two resolutions, because there seemed to have been some positive commentary about the front corner. And I think we're also talking about the facade window replacements as perhaps being positive, but the storefronts along the street, I think we were talking at, plus of course the elevator location. I think that seemed to be highly negative. So it looks to me like it may have to be two resolutions, just generally. Is that fair, everybody? Since I don't hear any yays or nays, would somebody choose to make a resolution either for one part or for the whole thing? And I'll take it either way.
Marco has his hand raised. Would you like me to call on him?
Sure.
Marco, you have to push a button.
Yes, I did. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I would like to propose the two motions. One for approval for the front on Madison Avenue and the windows, and disapproval for the storefront on the street and the elevator. Especially, I would have to comment something very important, that you cannot come and present an application that affects seriously the means of use. And this fire escape, it has to be resolved before to anything. That, by the way, is not part of our purview. And I think I'm going to recommend disapproval for the second part. Thank you.
Well, although I think, Marco, zoning is not part of our purview. I think if something is totally unresolved, like how you get safely out of a floor of a building, I'm not sure that that's the kind of thing we can ignore.
I would agree.
That's a very critical issue. Is it appropriate to wind up on the roof? I would think that's part of the appropriateness. In any event, we have positive on the front, negative on the side, and positive on the front plus positive on the windows. So I need a second. Will somebody please second those two resolutions?
I'll second them. I'll second them.
Thank you, Jane. So let's do the front corner and the windows as A. And that's approval. And Will, you're going to
I will.
Okay.
Everyone should be able to see a vote sheet at this point.
Yep, I can see it. Thank you, Will.
Are you going to send us the vote sheets, Will? So I don't have to
I'll send them to both of you at the end of the meeting.
Okay. I have my own, but I just as soon get it from you.
Of course. Whenever you're ready, I'll start unmuting people.
I think we're ready. Let's just go with the vote.
Do you want to take both votes at the same time or just one?
No, I think we can only do one at a time.
Great. I just wanted to confirm.
For clarity, let's do one at a time.
Okay, this is item 2, part A, the front and windows approval. Elizabeth Ashby.
Now, these are the windows on the front corner, not the windows going down the side street.
That is correct, but they're also.
I think the way it's worded there is a little bit, it says front and windows approval. It's really the windows on the front elevation.
We're putting
Okay, so the corner reconfiguration is what we're voting on.
What is the extent of the windows, Mr. Torello?
It's all the upper windows. So it's front and upper windows would be maybe stated.
Yeah, front and upper windows on the front elevation.
Can I, Shane, sorry. Are we
Oh,
talking
I'm
about the
sorry.
punched-in windows throughout the building?
Yes.
Right, so it's all the punched-in windows plus the corner.
Do you want me to
Yes.
change that?
Is that clear?
More or
Well,
less.
let's get front elevation in there somehow.
Well, it's all,
No,
it's the front elevation and all of the punched-in windows. The front elevation, including the two-story corner and all of the punched-in windows.
thank you. That's perfect.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Gail,
Yes.
thank you. Michelle, you're muted still.
Yes.
Never seen a little boy before.
Alida, give me 1 second. I lost you. Alida,
Sorry, yes.
okay. Anthony, you're still muted. There you go.
Yes.
Thank you. Oh, sorry, I skipped Sarah. Sarah, I'm so sorry. I'll fix that. Sarah? Sarah
No
Chu?
problem. Yes.
I'm so sorry.
No worries.
David?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes,
And then Marco, give me 1 second. You'll have to push a button to unmute yourself.
Yes. Yes.
Great, thank you. And then Christina, I have to unmute you. Christina.
Yes.
All right, and if you'll give me a second, we'll move on to the next one. It's David.
That one is a disapproval of the storefronts on, oh, you were talking about, do you want my vote or?
Oh, you
No,
voted
it's
yes.
right off.
I voted yes, sorry. So we're not talking about the disapproval.
Now we're talking about the disapproval. So the vote for part A was unanimous.
Yeah, so the disapproval is for the storefronts, the lobby structure, and the elevator structure on 67th Street.
Am I unmuted?
Yeah, everyone is still unmuted. I didn't mute anybody because we'll call the roll in just a second.
Okay.
David, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Great.
Yes.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Yes.
Gail.
Yes.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Yes. Gail, yes. And yes is a no here. Michelle.
Yes.
Thank you. Alida. Sorry, you muted yourself.
I have to say at the risk of annoying you, David, that I'm concerned by what you said, that maybe this is not right to address this when there's an issue of how people will get out of the building if there's a fire or some other reason to evacuate, and that not having that in the plan, even if we disapprove it, is of some concern, I think.
He has to get it through the building department, and my original comment still holds. I think it's, I think no matter how beautiful it would be, I would disapprove it. He hasn't solved the problem. If he doesn't solve the problem, I don't care how beautiful it is. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a disapproval. even if. we're
Okay.
But.
Thank you.
There are certain things we have
All
to
right.
leave to the building department and other things we have to leave to the landmarks commission.
Right, I
Okay.
know. It's just because of the severity of the issue, but thank you. I vote yes to
Thank you.
disapprove.
Yes. Sarah? You may have to, Sarah? Oh, sorry.
Sorry, can I pass, please?
Yeah, I'll come back to you.
Alita,
Anthony?
I'm sorry.
sorry.
to interrupt. Sorry to interrupt the voting. Alita, it will be in the write-up. It'll be in the resolutions. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. So passing on Sarah for now. Anthony? Yes is a no.
Yes, oh, yes, thank you.
David?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes,
Marco? Marco, are you still on? Marco, you have to push a button to mute yourself.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Christina?
Yes.
And then the pass was Sarah.
I'll vote yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
okay, we're gonna move along to 680 Park. I wonder if there's a way of getting the pictures back on the screen, the pictures of people?
Oh, yes, give me 2 seconds. Stop
Okay.
my share.
Take your time.
I'm gonna mute
you
everybody
all.
for 1 second. I'll unmute Jane and David and the applicant.
Where's your document? thought you
I
said
don't
it's
know.
open.
Yeah, it's here.
Let's make it full screen.
Okay.
Are we ready?
Yes, we're ready.
Okay,
Ju-
this is
Yes.
680 Park Avenue. I don't know why I'm not appearing on the screen. That's what I'm confused about.
You're on my screen.
Oh, I switched to act. Now I see you, David. Okay.
Should I see me? Should I see this?
See it.
Ivan Bryce is the architect presenting, and this is an application to restore a facade. It's quite a significant building, a neo-federal building designed by McKim, Mead and White. So you may go ahead with your
Click the-
presentation.
up here, up, up, up.
What, which, 1 minute? Up here?
Yeah, click.
Oh, so, but I'm gonna put this full
You want to
screen.
share screen?
Yeah, share the screen, right?
Yes, you want to share the screen.
Okay, I don't know if you can see me or,
I can see you, but
Oh,
we're looking to see the
that's it.
drawings.
very good. No, I
they
just want to make
they
sure.
need to
So,
see the drawings.
so can you see the drawings?
No.
Oh, here's the drawings, right? No?
So click
Right.
here.
So
Yeah.
hit share screen and you'll
One
have to
second.
select the screen to share.
Now what?
And Move
Move this back. Okay, 1
move it up,
second.
up. There, you want
Yep,
the green button.
share the screen. Okay, there we go. Is that gonna do it? Is that gonna do it?
Yeah.
And then close this, close this,
No.
just do this.
just go to-
Sorry, 1 second. No, that's not, there it is. Okay. Okay, there we are.
We still don't have it shared.
Oh, really? Huh, I just pressed shared screen.
So once you push share screen, you'll have to select which screen you want to share and then confirm it.
Oh, this one here. Okay, just double click it.
There you go.
Okay.
And just make it large.
I'll make it right here. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Okay. All right. So you just described the building. It's McKim, Mead and White mansion built in 1910, and it's occupied by the America Society. And the America Society is embarking on, at this time, we've been planning for some time, comprehensive restoration of the building, which no one knows of any major restoration done on the exterior in in many years. So the I'm going to, in this presentation, I just want to preface it with saying that the project has undergone a thoroughgoing staff review, and I've been informed today that Landmarks, the only reason this is going to, it's been clarified to me by Olivia Needham, who is the staff reviewer, that the only aspect of this project that is going for commission approval is the aspect of this, where we're replacing stone. The other elements on the project are essentially accepted at staff level. And so you'll have to excuse me for the fact that this presentation will show you some of the rest of the restoration work, but I will go very quickly through that just so you know the context of wherein we're going to be replacing the stone, some of the stonework. So these are some views. These are the Landmark Commission original photographs from their archives. And the building is essentially unchanged. From, I would say the only real visible changes over the years on the outside are the front entrance. We've in the last year we put in new entrance doors, which I don't have a specific picture here, but those were approved by Landmarks at staff level. So this is just to show you the context of where it is. I'm sure you all know it's at the corner, just opposite to Hunter College on Park Avenue at 68th and Park Avenue. The entrance is, building entrance is through this portico on Park Avenue. There's another entry door on off of 68th, or exit door from the art gallery, and there's a service court to the west. This is the roof plan, only thrown in here so that you would understand from our restoration drawings that we are thoroughly replacing the slate roofing and restoring really all the elements of the roof. There has been repeated instances of water infiltration in various places. And there is, in this northwest corner, is the, this area here is a flat roof that houses the mechanical equipment for the building. That roof is also being replaced with new roofing. That's, again, that's everything you're seeing right here regarding the roof. These are some of the roof details. Everything is being replaced in kind, in a historically appropriate and in kind manner. So these are simply roofing details. This is just to show you some of the deterioration on the roof. Again, this is accepted by Landmarks. The replacement of the roof is being very necessary for the maintenance of the building. And we're not changing from a slate roof. This is just to give you a little bit of context there. They're tarred over copper flashings, and there's some of the, you can see there's many penetrations in the mechanical roof. Mechanical roof is worn. This is an element that also this is the smaller elevator in the back corner of the building has this very deteriorated sort of ad hoc cement stucco that we're going to be cladding that with standing seam copper.
Mm-hmm.
And so here we come to elevation drawings showing some of the elements in red that are the elements that are of stonework that are badly deteriorated and that are in need of replacement. So here at the top of the parapet, you have these balusters at the parapet openings that are spaced approximately every 15 feet. And another set here. You have this pediment element in the center of the facade. And you have these, as we'll see in some of the photographs, you have scroll brackets supporting a projecting ledge lintel. These are, again, in red, some of the elements that need to be replaced. Balusters, again, and then a portion of one of the stones in the lintel stone. And here are a few pictures of these facade elements that have cracks and severe deterioration. This is just above, this is one of the lintel stones, decorative lintel stones that's lost a corner. Here you can see cracks, and here you can see cracks here, again, in elements that are above the windows, the window heads. These pictures on this page are of at the portico, entrance portico, and you can see how many of the elements there are the dentils, some of the capitals on the cornices are badly eroded to the point where you really can't make out the decorative details. These elements on the portico are all going to be repaired, remodeled on site using cathedral stone products, the Jan mortars that are specially formulated for the building. This is the most, let me say, the most severe deterioration is found at the underside of the cornice. So these rectangles here are representing modillion brackets, which I'll show you a picture of in a second. And you can see there are quite a few of them that are slated for replacement. Here are some of the conditions, close-ups, showing you that some of these have lost all the detail on the projecting scroll, due to extreme weathering. There are also, you'll see there's egg and dart, there's an egg and dart molding and dentils, smaller dental molding that run to the very bottom of the sort of architrave built into the wall at the top of the brick wall. These elements are in longer sections of approximately 4-foot sections and really cannot be replaced there because they're set into the wall in a way that you would destabilize everything above. So all of these rounded dentils that are really supposed to be originally rectangles, they're going to be repaired using the cathedral stone products. But here's a very good picture of on one of the corners. I believe this is on the corner, the southeast corner, the most prominent corner of the building, showing you that these modillion brackets are, you can hardly make out the original shape and form. Here's a close-up again. This is an enlargement of the parapet that runs above the cornice that contains these parapet openings with balustrades. These are the balustrade sections that are very severely deteriorated to the point where they have to be replaced. Here are pictures of the deterioration of those balustrades. As you can see, they are surely, they're nearly beyond repair. Now I'm showing this drawing to explain the construction at the top of the building, which is the most, the area where we're going to be replacing the most stonework. This here is, I don't know if this is hidden on your screen. Well, no, you can see what you need to see here. This is from the original McKim and White drawings that we obtained from the Historical Society. This is the parapet. This is the cornice, and the modillion elements I was discussing are at this level here and extend under, they go approximately 20 inches into the wall. And everything is, the construction of this building is, everything is more or less stacked within the wall at the top of the building. So that if you were to remove these modillions all the way into the wall, you would essentially have to rebuild everything above it. So what we were looking at here was to try to preserve to the greatest extent the existing historic fabric. And so in order to accomplish that, we're proposing to the modillion brackets that need to be replaced, we're proposing to fabricate them out of cast stone. The cast stone offers a few advantages, offers some very strong advantages. One is that you can put a threaded rod through the stone when you're fabricating it. And the method of attachment that we devised with our structural engineer is to excavate a 6-inch pocket, remove the modillion to a 6-inch depth into the wall, and then have the threaded rod projecting out the back that goes from front to back inside, hidden inside the cast stone. It then we drill into the stone behind, and the threaded rod goes approximately 6 inches further beyond, epoxied into the wall. And in this way, we are able to replace these essentially the cantilevered element and in a structurally sound way without removing the entire parapet above. So there's the structural issue, which is really critical in evaluating and understanding what we're doing here. And there's, because this is a rather unusual construction, more typically in parapet replacements, we will find that the modillion bracket has a hanger of some sort or anchors that hold it back. In this case, again, we know that these are simply stacked, and that if you take them out to the full depth, you're going to destabilize everything above. The other aspect, other than the structural consideration, is the aesthetics. And the marble here has undergone on the whole building. The marble is not the same, even with the cleaning that we are going to do on the entire building. The marble is never going to be the original white color of the marble. So if we were to go looking for a marble that would match the existing marble, I can tell you that the new marble will stand out like a sore thumb. Even if we had been rebuilding the entire parapet. So if we do this in cast stone, we have the ability to do almost perfect match to the texture and the color of the cleaned older marble. And we are actually planning to go with the current bids are based on a company that we specified, which is Metropole, who has worked on some of the finest stone replacements in the city, using cast stone, such as the Woolworth Building and the Peabody Museum at Yale. We have done cornice replacements with them at 124 West 72nd Street, another landmark, and also a landmark building is a good 20 years ago at 160 Front Street, which had very similar marble stone construction, and it turned out very, very well. This is showing some of the actual details on this drawing, just repair details for the Jan mortar and some of the other elements that have to be replaced on the facade, which I described. We don't really need to review. This is the iron balconies are being fully restored, painted and with a good amount of replacement of steel. The chimneys have quite a bit of cracking and need brick replacement and full repointing. There's one chimney on the west side of the building that is going to be almost fully replaced due to cracking. And we have some of the pictures here to give you an idea of that, although this is, again, within the realm of staff approval. And here you can see chunks of the stone coping, decorative coping on the capstone that have fallen off. This is really not related to your approval, but this is just to show you that we researched McKinney and White light fixtures, and we're having custom light fixtures made that Landmarks was very much endorsing at the staff level. They're accepted at the staff level. They're being made by a company that actually made McKinney and White, light fixtures for Columbia University and other McKinney and White structures. And so these are getting, going into some existing support brackets that remain on the building. So the only element here that really concerns a full commission review is the use of cast stone for the stone replacements. And let me say that typically we would be allowed to, at staff level to do so, but because this is an individual landmark, and an individual federal landmark, the Landmarks Commission decided ultimately that they wanted this to, they do have the discretion to have this go to a commission hearing because it is not an in-kind marble replacement.
Thank you. Is that your presentation?
I think I've said, yes, everything, yes.
Thank you so much. And I'm glad you summed it up by saying that it's basically replacing the marble with cast stone
Yes.
to match the color of the clean marble using this very clever way of the iron rod and extending 6 inches in.
Excuse me, I have another thing to say, which is that we could not accomplish that using that method. We cannot accomplish that limited replacement and preserving the major part of the upper part of the building. We could not do that using marble because you can't, if you try to put a new threaded rod through a new piece of stone, of marble, the marble will just splinter apart.
Well, thank you for adding that detail. I'm sure in time, this building will get an award from many different sources because of the depth and beauty of the restoration. Is there anyone from the public, Will?
I do not see anybody. If there's anybody from the public who would like to ask a question or comment, please use the participants feature to raise your hand and we'll see you on our list. You give it 5 seconds. Not seeing anybody. Jane?
Very good. You can go to the committee and I guess reverse the order. David started at the end of the alphabet for the previous application, so we can go back to the beginning.
Okay, I'll start with Elizabeth.
Yeah, I think it's very sad that we are not meeting in person and can see an example of the materials we're talking about. So this sounds like a very good idea to me, but I'm not familiar with the materials, and so I would really appreciate whatever the architects on our committee who probably have used this material have to say about it.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
So
Well,
next,
okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I didn't want to interrupt you. Next will be Gail Barron.
Gail?
Hi.
There you go.
Can you hear me? What percentage of the restoration is repair and what is replacement? And of that percentage of replacement, how much is the cast stone?
If we go, I think the best place to evaluate that is on this drawing.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say almost every one of these modillion brackets that you see here, other than the ones in red, are going to require some degree of repair. But then the ones that are red were, at least from the street, were evaluated. There's no easy way to put a scaffold on this, but we did look at them with high power binoculars, and so percentage wise, I don't have those exact numbers in front of me, but it's looking to me like most of the replacement is right here, what you see in red, and that's about maybe 15% of the repairs on the building, I'd say.
Okay.
And everything else that's being repaired would be, I'm not repairs, but 15% would be, I would say, a good number, a good estimate of what we're replacing. And the rest of the work would be, on the stonework, would be repairs.
And with the replacement, it would all be the cast stone?
Yes.
Okay. And then as far as where there's a repair, if it's something that's particularly decorative, how is that repaired? Or is it only where there are cracks, something of that ilk?
No. It's a good question. The cathedral stone product, which is very well known, it's really the top stone repair material in the industry. It was used on St. John the Divine. It was used on I'm sorry, the recently completed across from, next to Saxon Avenue. I'm sorry, just
St.
losing.
Patrick's?
St. Patrick's. That was all Cathedral Stone products, anything that they didn't actually replace. And we've used it extensively. It's very, Landmarks is very much endorses that product. And it's very durable, and it's specially formulated so that it will adhere to essentially the same physical characteristics in terms of expansion and contraction, so that it isn't going to delaminate from the, it's built, you know, there's a very strict procedure, and anyone using it has to have had the special training for it. So it's essentially doing artwork on site off of a scaffold. You're carving the pieces. I've taken the course myself a couple of times, but only to understand what's involved and how not to do it, you know, how it's done right and how it's done wrong. Yeah.
Thank you so much for the clarification. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Gail.
So after Gail, we'll move to Michelle. Give me 1 second. Michelle.
Thank you. It was a wonderful presentation. I mean, there was a lot of detail involved and you explained it very well. In a lot of areas that would have been very difficult to see or imagine. So it was very well done. Now you talked about replacing the whole slate roof, really.
Yes.
So my question is that with real slate?
Yes.
Okay, so that's not being fabricated with anything. That's going to be slate.
That's real slate, yes.
And
also real copper.
Michelle, it's not under our purview. That was approved at the staff level.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But at any rate, I can certainly support this. It sounds like there's really no other way to restore this building, not only because of the materials that were used, but because of the nature of the construction and that it being sort of stacked, where if you pull out one element, excuse me, you've really risked destroying the other. So, and you said that with the wrought iron, with the balconies, you're just replacing, repairing, and painting?
Yes, and that's a staff level approval.
And that's staff also.
That's not part of the decision.
So it's only everything. So, but all of the repairs are being done in cast stone, and they'll be made to look like whatever is there now.
And actually, as to seeing the material, I would add that Landmarks will have to approve samples of these elements before we do the full fabrication. So,
and the fabrication that was done on site, you said?
Well, the fabrication on site is for the repairs. The ones that are being the stones that are going to have the full piece with the anchor through it, that gets fabricated in a factory in New Jersey. It's the company Metropole I was mentioning, David Finley, who is very known for doing a very fine job.
So Landmarks will see those before they're actually installed in the building.
But we'll have samples of them before we do the full fabrication.
Okay, thank you. I'll support this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michelle.
Next, we have Alita.
Thank you. So just to be clear, when the restoration is done, it will be a uniform set of those brackets and decorative elements around the building.
Yes, not every one of them is being replaced, but they all should look identical. Now they don't look identical because they are worn, as you can see, to a varying degree.
Right. So even some that are not, that are just only slightly worn, will be repaired to replicate all of the other ones. They'll all be the same.
To bring back the original detail, yes, authentically and uniformly, yes.
And I assume from what you've said that they're able to be carved in the same detail and in the same way as the originals.
Yes, they are, yes.
it's a shame that we can't see what the material is like, as Elizabeth pointed out. You don't have any photographs, a close-up of what the repairs at our restoration at St. Patrick's might looks like up close.
I don't have that on hand right now.
Okay. Okay, well, I know I appreciate that it's a tough job. And if it looks right, and particularly since stone won't be able to do a repair in the way that is envisioned and is appropriate, then I would support this too. Thank you.
Thank you, Alita.
Thanks, Alita. Next is Sarah Chu.
Excuse me. Hi, thank you for this very detailed and very helpful presentation. My one question is, when the fabricated stone is installed, will we see a contrast between the new stone and the existing stone, or is there a way to age the newly fabricated stone to match in either color or like slight erosion or whatever it is that you're able to do?
Well, this is what I was alluding to when I was discussing the aesthetic factor. If we use cast stone, we have really infinite flexibility to achieve the texture and the color that we want to match. And we will be, of course, holding it up against what's there. We're going to have full pipe scaffolding on the building. And so we'll be able to climb up there easily on the stairway on the outside of the building and compare the samples. And I very much believe we'll have someone from Landmarks joining us because I almost always, well, it's their option. They can go by photos, but in this case, I believe that the staff person from Landmarks would want to go to the building with myself and the contractor and see the different. We'll probably have at least a few variations as to color and texture, and we'll all decide which is really the one that does it right.
That sounds like a very thorough plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks. Anthony had to leave for an emergency, so next would be Marco. Marco, you have to push a button.
You hear me?
Yep.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, thank you. I was enjoying and reading your drawings this afternoon, and I was trying to catch some errors. On the contrary, your drawings are perfect, are very well done. You understand what is the main issue right here. And by the way, I had to explain something else. That I took a special training with the curator of the Brooklyn Cemetery. She's an expert in the buildings. And I'm going to say it in a few words. You are a good example, a good advisor in how to repair and how to restore a building of this caliber. And everything that you did is almost perfect. There is no other way that you can do better. And if you try to match the stone, you're gonna create other problems at the time you demolish or you deconstruct, especially the lintel that you mentioned. And I think you did a very good job, and I am extremely happy. Not only that, you went even beyond of that. And I read that you have notes that had to recommend even to put the stucco and had to replace everything, and even how the contractor should follow your instructions. And this is a way that all the buildings, all the landmark buildings should be done. These kind of notes are extremely crucial that the architect, who is the leader of everything, mention and put the notes for the contractor, so the contractor follow your instructions, and hopefully at the end it's gonna be done very well. And the only thing I said is well done, and thank you.
Thank you, Marco.
And then finally, Christina.
Thank you. Oh, well, this is an excellent presentation. It's a magnificent building. I had the pleasure of working in this building for 3 years, and I really commend what you're doing. Thank you very much.
David?
Curiosity, what kind of marble is it?
I should know because the people from Cathedral Stone actually told me, and I'm sorry, I don't have my assistant here who would remember. I don't remember it right now. I'm sorry.
And it's marble and not
You
limestone.
got me on that. You got me.
It's marble and not limestone, right?
Yeah, do you know that when I did my first report on this building in 2012, I called it limestone. I was corrected down the road. Yeah.
I'm just curious because looking at the photograph and having passed the building, the color could lead
Yes.
you to believe it's limestone.
Yes. Yes.
And as far as the cast stone goes, we're talking about a true cast stone. We're not talking about GFRC.
No, not GFRC. No, not at all.
Sounds like you've done your homework. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. I'm just going to make a comment. First of all of us on the committee have to commend Marco. He's so unusual that he speaks with such high praise of a presentation. So I was amused by that, Marco, and of course share your the genius that the architect has shown in trying to repairing this exquisitely beautiful building in our great city. So thank you. I think we're ready for a vote. Does anybody, it's a vote, move to approve, and I'm assume, could somebody formulate a resolution?
Michelle has raised her hand.
Move to approve as presented. And
Is
I'll
there a
leave you
second?
in your able hands to fill in all the whereases.
I see Alita has raised her hand. Alita.
Second,
And if I can also suggest
I
that
second.
if I can also suggest it at the full board, that of course we don't need all these plans, but you know, picture the building would be helpful. And
Thank you.
close-ups of the deterioration.
Thank you. I think we're ready for the vote, Will.
Okay, I'm gonna go and unmute everybody that's not unmuted. And we'll just go quickly through everyone. I believe
Yes.
that's everyone. So starting with Elizabeth is wait, 1 second.
Yes.
Starting with Elizabeth is a yes. Everyone can see the vote.
Yes.
Good. Gail, thank you. That's a yes. Or was that a yes to seeing it?
A yes to the approval.
Okay, great. Michelle,
Yes.
Alita,
Yes.
Sarah.
Yes.
Thank you. Anthony had to leave. David,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
and Marco. Oh, Marco, did you mute yourself? Marco, you'll have to push the button.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Oh, thanks. Okay, and then Christina, finally.
Yes.
Fantastic. That's unanimous.
What happened?
It was unanimous. I took it down. Do you want me to leave it up?
Oh, no. Switch the gallery. That's what I want, the gallery view. So I think David's going to handle the new business item, the window master plan item.
Well, I guess whoever feels that they want to talk about it should begin the discussion.
I just muted everybody back. Do you want me to leave everybody on the committee unmuted?
Well, all right. I think we really need to understand what we can accomplish. I wish that we could take all of those buildings that used to have multi-pane windows and make the master plans reflect that. I'm certainly open to listening to what we want to do as a committee and that we might want to present to the board. And maybe we want to make some kind of a recommendation to landmarks. I don't know that we can make them do anything retroactively. I certainly think that as a committee, we've done a good job going forward, trying to get these older buildings that have the multi-pane windows to have their master plans reflected. We haven't always been successful. Going retroactively, I think, is going to be that much more difficult. But I think we can make a case, at least in principle, for landmarks to consider. So maybe somebody wants to raise their hand and add to what I have just started to talk about.
Elizabeth and Michelle have raised their hands in that order.
No. Elizabeth, I know you feel strongly, so I'm looking forward to hearing from you.
Okay. I think that this is such a terrible situation. I think we've been put in a position where on two buildings, 1115 Fifth and 1148 Fifth, people wanted to put in the appropriate windows and couldn't do it. In 1148, they asked the building to change, and the building didn't agree to. I don't know that we can change, but I also think that part of the problem on Fifth Avenue is such an important avenue. It is the eastern wall of Central Park. We have one magnificent J.E.R. Carpenter and Rosario Candela and all those buildings there. They become bland. I'm looking across the street at 1155th, which has 1/1 when it used to have 6/6. And then at 9 East 96th Street, without, I believe, a master plan, they replaced in the 6/6. One building is alive. It has texture. The other building is just banal, and it should not be banal. It regionally was not. So I think that if we can't do anything about the existing failures of the commission, I think we should consider making a strong statement that you've made a terrible mistake and you must never make it again. I'm sorry that we probably can't make them change, but maybe they're if they annul them or something or other, so that when they go forward another time in the future when we're all dead, that they can go back to what is appropriate and is the original fenestration. I don't think we should just sit back and let it go unremarked, this total failure. Okay.
Who's next?
Michelle and then Alida.
Yeah, my sentiments exactly. I think we should write a very strong letter to the Landmarks Commission. I don't know that it has to go to the full board for a vote, but to write a very strong letter about our position on windows, how we feel they affect, the respect of the building and maintaining the integrity of the building, giving some examples, as Elizabeth did, of some of what we have faced and how disappointed we have been, And even in our effort to try to have a building restored to the original window, in many cases, even though we may vote that way, we have an understanding that it's so far gone that it would take, 50 years to really revert it. So I think we should write a very powerful letter about that. And Elizabeth's examples were very good. And I think, we should sign it and send it to them and put them on notice that we've been very disappointed as to how the window situation has been handled, not only at the staff level, but also what's been approved at the commission in the past. And that we really feel very strongly that the windows are a very big part of the statement that the period, that the architect meant to make, and that the building itself makes, and it should not be casually dealt with. And we could make our feeling known also about wood over wood, in addition to the, divided lights. So I hope we write a very, very strong letter like that. I would like to see that happen. I think it could only benefit.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. David, Alita, and
Thanks. I'll be brief. I think we should write a letter. I think the committee should vote on it. I think that the modern windows are so discordant with the beautiful facades that they call attention to the contrast, and not in a good way, that there should be a better reflection of what's appropriate. And I wouldn't put this in the letter, but I just say shame on the Landmarks Commission for letting these things go. When the buildings are significant in size or in importance, it's a shame. And we've seen that on individual cases all around. So I do think we should do something. Thank you.
Melita, can the letter come from the committee, or should the letter come from the board?
The letter can come from the committee, but I think I don't know. We want to give it as much strength as possible. There's nothing wrong with it coming from the committee. So whatever you and Jane feel is the stronger version.
It's stronger if it comes from the board.
So then we could, I think as long as there's a committee vote, we've done it before in sending it from the board. I've written many letters based on committee votes. So I don't have any trouble with that.
David?
As soon as I get this other one done, I'll work on that one if you'd like.
Well, maybe Elizabeth.
Or you could do it if you want
Elizabeth
to,
wants to
and
take
it'll
a
go
crack.
out through the board.
Anybody else wanted to speak?
Well, I originally had to, oh, sorry, Elizabeth,
All right.
here. Will, do I have the floor?
Yes.
you do. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think, I don't know how people feel, but I feel Elizabeth has the most institutional history on this whole issue. So it'd be great if she could take a stab at the initial draft of a letter.
I agree with that and was suggesting the same thing. So
Oh, thank you, David.
Elizabeth, you're unmuted.
And I do too.
Elizabeth, you're unmuted right now if you want to say something.
Am I unmuted?
Yes.
Yeah. I want everybody, if I do have a stab at it, I would like everybody's opinion. One of the things I didn't mention, when the landmarks, I forget which building, came up with this idea, and they explained to me that uniformity was very important to the original architects. And I think that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard, because what we end up with is uniformly inappropriate windows, which is hardly what one wants. So every idea that everybody has, if I draft something, I would like to hear. And and any other buildings that that has unfortunate, I mean, a lot of them changed before, and that's nobody's fault, except the board that should be arrested for that kind of thing. But any suggestions, any buildings, I'd like to hear about. and be very grateful for. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
So Alita and Michelle both have their hands raised in that order.
Yeah, I think there are a lot on Park Avenue. Elizabeth, I would just ask you to put in the line about uniformity and uniformly, because that is good.
Okay.
Michelle.
Michelle, you have to.
You have to unmute, Michelle.
I wonder if you think this is appropriate. You know, in my building, we had 6/6 original. It's a pre-war building. And then the board in an alteration agreement had voted to permit, 1/1s and tilt in and all this business. And I got them to reverse the alteration agreement back to 6/6, I'm happy to say. And we chose the Marvin window, which I think is one of the ones on the market, the wooden Marvin window, which has one of the closest profiles to the original wood windows. So that's good. But I wonder if you think it's appropriate in an educational way. If Community Board 8 reached out to the buildings within our district and sent a letter to the boards, it would take a little bit of research to get the contact info, but I think it's worth it, that if they are considering window replacement, to please take into consideration the historic nature of the building and, however we would want to word that, and to offer some advice on the planning from a member of the community board, somebody on this committee who would feel qualified to do that. But I think that would be a tremendous public service thing to do. We reach out about a lot of things to the community on our board. Landmarks really rarely reaches out in a prophylactic way. And while I know it could be a big deal, I think we could maybe get an intern that could research the contact information, and then we can compose, the letter that we feel would be appropriate to go out. Does anybody else think that that would be a good idea?
I think we have to give it some thought, Michelle. I mean, I think maybe the board office eventually could do a one-page flyer that we could kind of distribute to the buildings. But I'm not sure our purview is to take the place of the co-op board in determining window replacement issues.
Well, no, I don't think I don't think we'd be taking the place. What you have, and when you get a co-op board, they are not necessarily preservationists. They are not necessarily people with any information at all, not only about architectural preservation, but even about the history of their own buildings. These are very broad-based. They're elected for many, many different reasons, many of them fiduciary, they're not necessarily based on preservation. And if you are assuming that a co-op board has any information about this, you're sadly mistaken. I served on my board for over 40 years, and I can tell you, even some of the architects, they're not necessarily preservation architect, and the respect for the preservation and that they're the stewards of their own buildings is very often lost. And I think it would go, or maybe an education forum. I mean, we've got forums on everything. Maybe a preservation forum offered by this committee and Community Board 8. It's not an easy thing to do, but no forum is, and I think it would be really, really valuable. I mean, it would really be a valuable thing to educate the community. And I think if we could get a couple of interns, Hunter is a wonderful resource for interns. The project I've been working on, I've been using Hunter interns, and they were terrific. And now what you're really asking them to do is strictly a research thing where you're actually researching, the names and addresses on the tax rolls, and you can even distribute the letters by hand, which I would be willing to do in my case by car and hand. And it would be addressed to the president of the board if we don't have that name. But I mean, I did this when we were trying to get Park Avenue as a historic district. And I got these names of everybody in every building, and I wrote from building to building and handed batches to the doorman. It's a project, but I think it's worth doing. I think if you bring it to people's attention, they might be very grateful. So I hope somebody, you know, jumps on this point, can give some feedback about it.
I think there are two issues here. I think the first is the letter. I think we're in agreement.
Yeah, I didn't mean for this to intercept that. This was just an additional thought, a separate project.
Gail has her hand up.
I actually agree with a lot of things that Michelle has said, because I don't know what percentage, for example, of the buildings on Fifth Avenue actually have a master window plan. But I think that sometimes it's a lack of education, and sometimes it's just absolutely expedient on the part of a co-op board to say, well, you know, everybody's an owner. I know in our building, people's attitude is, well, gee, you know, you bought it, you live there. So if that's what you want to do, it's okay. And when I was president of the building several years ago, we actually put a master plan in place because somebody had bought an apartment in the front of the building, and I was walking down the street. They had 2 plate glass windows installed in place of our 8/8. And we went ahead and had the type of board at that point that said, no, we want to keep our Federalist building looking the way it is. The building is almost 100 years old. And we have used Marvin windows, wood windows replacement, and they're wonderful. But I think that if there is a way of sometimes educating some of the co-op boards, maybe it is a forum, I don't know exactly what form it would take, but we could certainly give it some thought. But every time, you know, one's walking down Fifth Avenue or you're on the bus, it's like jack-o'-lanterns, and just everything is such a mismatch. If there's anything that we can do to try to at least raise the issue, because I don't think that most boards and buildings today give it much thought. So if there's any way that we can do that and kind of progress the idea, I think it would be great.
Anyone else want to comment at this point?
So in order, you have Marco, Alita, and Christina Davis.
Let's just take the order. Marco?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I think David mentioned very well. The first point is the letter. We have to do that, and I think the sooner the better. And the second point, which Michelle raised, I think is a very good idea. We can work it out and to approach the buildings, and at least to put like a recommendation what we should do, what we have to preserve, why do you have to preserve, all these kind of questions that will help to any board at least to have an idea what to do at the beginning. It's more likely they're going to hire a professional that understands this issue, and they can go deeper in that direction. I think there's nothing wrong what Michelle suggests. Thank you.
Alita's next.
Thanks. I also agree with Michelle. I think education. I think that when people have come and wanted to replace windows, they've all talked about the views and how they want the views or they want the light. And so that's something that we need to I guess, to fight against, really. I'm thinking that we could just write to the management companies for the buildings and ask them to get in touch with the boards. They know who everyone is. And I'm also thinking that we're going to have video equipment to be able to shoot things outside of the M&N studio. So we could, at some future point, have a pros and a cons of the windows and the way they looked originally, or replacement windows that were appropriate, and ones that aren't, just in terms of expanding the creative approach here. But I endorse what Michelle has said. Thank you.
And then Christina had her hand up. Christina?
Yeah. I see it more from an educational and informational point of view rather than sort of policing point of view. And I would get Carnegie Hill neighbors to maybe hold forums, and then you could invite various building chairs or not superintendents, but board chairs or managing agents to inform people. I think it's an educational outreach effort in order to inform people. Because I think if we start a policing type of thing, if you send a letter, they're not going to respond.
No.
Or may not respond. And do we even have the authority to do that?
David, Jane, Michelle has her hand up.
Well, I'll leave it in David's hands. I agree with Christina. It's an educational issue more than anything. You know, we live in a co-op and they're very careful about maintaining the original historic design of the windows. I don't think we can automatically assume that every single co-op board is ignorant of the historic fabric of their individual buildings. But I do agree more education, I guess, is needed. But I think the first thing is to get the letter going and get it out, and maybe send copies of it to all the different managing agents around the city, around the Upper East Side. Lo, do you have any thoughts? You've been pretty silent.
Lo actually doesn't have a sound connection to the meeting, so unfortunately we'll only be able to see him.
Well, actually, Michelle, if you are in touch with your managing agent, you might ask the question how the managing agent might feel about being a conduit.
Am I unmuted? I can tell
Yeah.
you, first of all, I want to clarify what I said. This comment was in no way meant to be confused with the letter that we're going to be writing to Landmark. So two completely different issues. The second thing is, I know my managing agent very well. I brought him into the building. He's been our managing agent forever. I can tell you at this moment in time, the managing agents, because I'm in touch with him and others, are overwhelmed with their virus, protocol and maneuvering the staff and all kinds of things that they wouldn't be willing to do this now. At a later date, absolutely, I think we can bring them in. But I think that this board and many committees have had forums, and I think it would really be appropriate, given our interest and given that we have, I think, the most historic districts in this area, more than any other in the city. I think it's a perfectly appropriate and even warranted thing for us to have some kind of an education forum. I'm not saying we're going to prescribe a window. I'm not saying anything like that. But for example, to advise co-ops that they should have alteration agreements in place. There may be many that don't. Gail's, your building probably didn't, because otherwise these shareholders would never have had the right to just go in and change a window. We've always had alteration agreements.
They did it without permission.
Without permission. Oh, okay. That's even worse. But at any rate, I think there's a lot of education to be done here, and I think people would be very happy about it. And you can invite everybody. I mean, if Carnegie Hill Neighbors wants to be in, Historic Park Avenue can be part of it. A lot of the block associations, Friends might be interested in this. I mean, there are a lot that can co-sponsor, and maybe it's mainly just a talk on preservation. HDC does this all the time. And I think it's perfectly appropriate and even warranted coming from CBA. Take a long time to put together. It's going to be some work, but I think it's worth it.
But HDC, is a C3. We're an advisory.
I'm not talking about bringing them in here, Christina.
No, I'm saying we, our committee and the board, are advisory, and we're appointed by government officials.
Yeah, well, we're not
totally
forcing
different.
Anybody. It's not my proposal to be forcing anybody to put in a certain kind of window.
No, I know you didn't say that. But
yeah, that's right. I didn't.
Well, why don't we get
we don't have the authority.
We
need do a forum?
I believe that
we absolutely do have the authority to do a forum.
We do have the authority, because we do a number of forums on educating the public.
That was my suggestion. My suggestion was a forum.
Well, that was mine as well.
Not just writing a letter to them.
Where is the lack of authority that you're questioning, Christina?
No, as I understood Michelle's first suggestion was to hire interns to get addresses of building. Well, that's what I. Well, that's what you
not
said.
Not hire. Interns do it for credit.
Well, free interns, whatever you want, but you to look up people's addresses to get them to write a letter.
Yeah, not to get them to write a letter. That
Yeah.
was one thought. My second thought was a forum, which would make outreach that much easier. But, and certainly you still can do outreach within each building, and we can talk about that at a forum.
Well, I think it's time to sort of wrap
wait,
up.
Jane. No, Jane, we need to have a vote on the letter. We need to have a committee vote that the letter is okay.
Oh, okay.
Before we all leave.
We need a committee vote, yes, that we're going to do a letter. And
yes.
So propose the resolution.
Okay, I'll propose it. I'd like to see if that's all right. A resolution calling for a letter to go to Landmarks Preservation Commission, asking them to reevaluate the criteria for approving master plans and to reevaluate master plans that they've already approved that are inappropriate for the building.
I second it.
Window master plans.
Did you want to clarify? All of our resolutions are sent in the form of a letter. So is this a letter that is not a resolution, or is this a resolution?
It's a letter. I heard it as a letter to go to Landmarks, not a resolution to go before the full board, but as a letter.
The letter, and it's a recommendation to the Landmarks Preservation Commission.
So it will not go to the full board for a vote. So it's not a resolution.
I don't think we need to. No, we've done
I just
letters
wanted to make
before.
sure that was clear.
We've done letters without going to the full board. Well, maybe you know more about this. If we need to go to the full board, we can, but for a letter, I don't know that we can.
I've never gone to the full board for a letter.
When you have your president's report, if you wanted to, you could just say that
I will.
Concerned about the, proliferation of windows that aren't appropriate to the buildings, and just let people know what's happening.
Well,
I just was pointing out.
Then.
Alita, you'd use the words resolution and letter interchangeably there. That was what I wanted to clarify.
Right now.
Oh, no, I meant.
Now we're talking about.
Oh, that's right. No, it's a resolution supporting, because the resolution is, then just.
Yeah,
vote
I think it just has to
on
be a
appropriateness.
consensus of the committee.
Yeah, I don't think you need a resolution
the letter.
for the letter. We've never had a resolution
No,
for a letter.
we should vote on it, Michelle, because we've done that in the past. Some do feel that a resolution carries more weight than a letter, but a letter, a strongly worded letter, I don't know that it would matter to Landmark.
Well, if it came from the full board as a resolution, I think it would be stronger.
Then if you think it would be stronger, then let's do it as a resolution. I'm flexible on this.
I mean, it's got to be written, but it could be basically in a letter form, but it's a resolution. I mean, it could.
Well, in that case, if you
Well, it
want
would
them
have
to
a
see
vote.
the letter, if you want them to see the letter to vote on it, and the full board is on Wednesday, the likelihood of having a letter for them to hear and vote on is, I don't ever remember us having a resolution when we've done a letter from a committee.
Well, I don't know what the precedents are. I've never been involved.
No, I don't think,
with the
I
committee.
think if we were just doing a letter, we don't need a vote for a resolution to do a letter. But I think if we wanted a resolution instead of a letter, then clearly we need the vote. Because as we do for all resolutions, so we could either have a letter and it would work from this point, and I'll mention it in my report, or we could have a full board resolution supporting the ideas that were contemplated in terms of landmarks and master plans for windows.
Could we do a letter because that's more immediate and pressing, and then at a later date formulate a resolution and have it backed by the full board? But I think this is really going to delay everything if we do it in the form of a resolution, because you couldn't possibly have it ready by Wednesday. And so now you're going into July, and then it's summer months.
The resolution wouldn't be in the same form as the letter. It would just be a resolution with some points, but it would be hard to craft it by Wednesday. A letter probably wouldn't be done by Wednesday either, but it wouldn't need to be. When it's done, we would send it out as we've done with other letters.
Exactly.
And then we just need the committee vote, I believe, to support the letter.
Exactly.
Consensus seems to be doing a letter, which is fine. And Elizabeth.
But I don't think if we do the letter, I'm sorry, David.
I said the consensus seems to be a letter, and Elizabeth is going to do the first draft, and we'll go from there. And people can.
But I don't think we would need to duplicate the letter with a subsequent resolution at some
No, I
future
think
point.
That's fine.
If the letter is coming from the committee, I think this is a pretty strong committee. They know who we are. I think it would have weight. So I guess we can work through Will to distribute the letter, and then we can add our comments or suggestions.
Sounds good.
Yes, but I still would like to get a committee vote on doing the letter.
So let's do the vote.
Thank you, David.
We're all in agreement to do a letter. So this is
We could raise our little virtual hands if you don't want
I
to
mean,
do a
you're
full
all
roll
unmuted,
call.
so I'm just gonna do the
Okay.
thing. Unless, David, you want to do something?
No.
Yes.
I was going to say that if there's anybody opposed, otherwise it becomes unanimous. So I was just avoiding going through all the names.
It's okay. There's a lot less of you now. Elizabeth,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Alita,
Yes.
Sarah, and Anthony left. David,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
Marco,
Yes.
and then Christina.
Yes.
There you go.
Thank you for voting.
Okay. Jane, do you want to take over from here in old business?
I think, is there a move to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank
Will,
you.
will you get David and I the vote sheets?
Yes, I thought I already had them ready to go to you, but then we had a new vote, so.
Well, I won't be writing these until tomorrow. And I hope you get them by 5 o'clock. I hope that's okay. Is that okay,
When
Will?
we get them, but we'll
I know
also be
the
waiting.
earlier the better.
Yeah.
Over the summer months, am I unmuted?
Yes.
Yes.
Over the summer months, can we try to get some feedback or ideas about how to do a forum or something like that? Because we wouldn't do it, I don't think, before the fall.
Well, there's no question, Michelle, your suggestion was very good to make it a joint forum with Friends of the Upper East Side Historic Districts, the Park
Carnegie
Avenue
Hill,
Historic Districts, Carnegie Hill neighbors. It'll have much more gravitas that way. So it should be a joint effort, not
So
just,
how do you propose we go forward with that, though?
well, let's wait until we get to phase 3 of the COVID-19. But I think that we need a subcommittee within the Landmarks Committee, somebody who's
Agreed.
willing to lead the effort that's not David or me.
I agree.
So I'm wondering who wants, well, we have such a small group here, but who would be the volunteer that would be willing to take charge?
Well, I propose it, so I'm certainly willing to participate in a
I'll do
committee.
it with you. Michelle, why don't we just do it together?
Okay, and anybody else who wants to be
Right.
part, it'll be a committee within. And
Right.
over the summer, we'll come up with some ideas of how to propose it. And thinking of maybe October, depending on what circumstances are. And in the meantime, if Landmarks has our letter, hopefully that maybe will protect.
Well,
us.
I'm hoping this will not be a Zoom meeting. You know that there's a
No,
question
I'm
about how
hoping
much,
too.
October, I think is a little soon. You know, even my school's only going to have 12 kids in a classroom.
Well, it may
So-
be too soon, but we have to aim for something. We
No,
can
I
always- we're not
understand, but
picking a
I'd
date,
rather
you know.
aim for the spring or early winter or something. I don't know. But I'll leave it in your hands. If
It
you
doesn't
guys are
matter.
gonna
The
do-
work has to
you're-
be done. The date comes
It'll
later.
take a while, Jane. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
gonna take a while to organize this.
Well, you had just said October, Michelle. That was the only reason.
Yeah, if we could
That's a
do it.
little
If not not, but it's going to take the same amount of organization no matter what date we end up picking.
Well, that's true. Well, thank you for stepping up to the plate, ladies, and co-chairing.
That's my thanks as well. We have 2 new co-chairs.
And
Okay.
by the way, you know, I think that all the work that's done in committee is invaluable. Just wanting to throw that out there. So thank you, ladies
Thank you. Good
and
night.
gentlemen, and thank you,
Be
Will, for your
safe
help.
and healthy. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Everyone,
Bye, everybody.
bye.
Okay.